So, given all the information we've gotten recently about larger ships and now the complication of fuel and truck stops, that sort of thing, has that changed your outlook on owning a big ship versus owning a smaller ship? Now, Squadron 42 is definitely a fighter oriented game, and obviously, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be very interested in fighters, of course. But has your opinion changed as the reality of Star Citizen has begun to set in? Have you changed your minds about fighters, and are you looking more and more towards bigger ships, cashing out maybe the one, two, three fighters that you might have, depending, and possibly using all of that money together to purchase a bigger ship, something much more suited to the day in, day out life of living in the Star Citizen universe? Now, recently I did a couple of videos where I was talking about this ship here, of course, the Hammerhead, and just kind of examining with what we know, what do you think this ship is going to look like? What do you think this ship is going to play like? That sort of thing. What do you think the day in, day out of this ship is going to be? Just general questions around the ship. But we've gotten new information along the way, such as, CIG stating that, we've gotten turrets or NPC operated turrets up to 95% accuracy, which is, of course, a number that can shift in either direction, probably a little bit more towards the downward direction. But they've gotten NPC turrets operating very well, and of course, you would kind of expect that with the game, that the NPC turrets would operate fairly smoothly. We've always kind of indicated that that was the likely outcome. But now we're finding out about the fuel requirements too, to traverse these long distances. And of course, bigger ships, bigger tanks, probably going to get further. Now, there is also the possibility of it's all relative. A bigger ship might have bigger fuel tanks, but it might also have bigger engines, so it consumes pretty much the same amount of fuel to a certain degree. A full tank of gas on a Super Hornet might get you the same distance that a full tank of gas on a Hammerhead will get you, just because even though the Hammerhead carries more fuel, it uses fuel at a much larger rate, so they both work out to be the same. But the potential is there for the Hammerhead to reach further. Also, recently in another Calling All Pappies, we found out that the larger ships are actually going to travel through quantum faster than the smaller ships. Now, of course, it takes them longer to get up to speed, but the longer the distance, the more that difference is going to play out, and the larger ship is going to get there first. So if you're having to travel long distances, a larger ship will probably be the fastest way to go. When you start to confront the practical realities of the missions that we've been getting, maybe you have to haul a little bit of cargo. Maybe you have to assault a ground base in the future. Maybe, you need to be able to carry a different set of armor, different guns, all those things. You need to have certain facilities with you. All of a sudden, a ship like this becomes a lot more attractive. Add into that the fact that CIG has outright stated that there are going to be certain missions out there tailored to a ship like the Hammerhead, right? That there is going to be content for the ship to allow the ship to kind of live and breathe and thrive in the Star Citizen universe. So this isn't just something that they want you to take out only on special occasions once you've saved up enough money to operate it. This is a ship that they want to see in the universe day in and day out. My question is, when you look at fighters now, you know what I mean? It's like the fighters are great and the fighters are fine and they're fantastic, but the reality, the day in, day out of what you're going to be going through in the game, is that changing what you want to fly in the game? Possibly for the worse, not for the better, because maybe you're kind of looking at it and you're saying, man, I just want to fly my Super Hornet. Man, I just want to fly my Saber. But, honestly, day in, day out, something like the Hammerhead or something like the Redeemer, if it ever gets built, something, like the Connie or the Cutlass is just, it's going to work out better for me overall. It's something to consider. It's something to look at and say, hey, is this maybe something that is too good, or maybe, the way the fuel restriction and perhaps other restrictions play out in game, it makes these big ships maybe a little too good? Or is this just naturally where we're supposed to evolve to? We're supposed to evolve out of fighters and move into bigger ships, Hammerhead, Polaris, Idris, Javelin, whatever. We're supposed to progress, if there is even such a thing in Star Citizen, because Star Citizen isn't a traditional MMO. There aren't levels here. It's like, okay, well, I'm level 60, now I get to fly an Idris type shit. But I mean, are we intended to go in that direction, or are we able to carve our own path? I think that one of the things that, the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the fuel restriction, was that it felt like a penalty. Now, it's of course something that we have to see. It's something that we have to see in game. It's something that has to live and breathe, and we have to deal with it on a day in, day out basis before we can deliver a final opinion. But to me, it seemed like a bit of a penalty, like, oh, don't worry about it so much, because once you get to the bigger ship, it's not going to be that big of a deal. But at the same time, it kind of felt like, once you get to the bigger ship, then you just don't have to worry about this anymore. To me, the fuel restriction, it feels like a bit of a penalty in a way, because the way I would look at Star Citizen up till now, though my opinion isn't changed, it's shifting, I would say. The way I would look at Star Citizen now is that it seems more like they're pushing you in that direction. Like they're saying, hey, go to the bigger ships, they're good, they're good, they're good. And of course, there's the obvious reason for doing that. But I'd always kind of hoped that Star Citizen was going to end up being something that if you were the fighter pilot, then you could go out and you could build the super fighter with the components, with the things that you could get. You could build a Saber that goes so far beyond just a stock Saber, something that is truly amazing, a Super Hornet that is so far beyond a traditional Super Hornet, with all the parts and upgrades that you could get. And so that could be your end game ship. Your end game ship could be defined by what you choose to invest in that ship. And so the ship is just the starting point. It's just the shell, right? But when you factor in the fuel, it feels like a penalty. It's something that, to me, once again, it doesn't feel good. Because it's almost like, let's say you want to go from Hurst into Yella, and your buddy's in a Hammerhead, and he just makes the trip all in one shot, or maybe he gets upgraded fuel tanks so that he can do that, or he makes it with just one hop, whereas maybe you got to make 3 hops to get there. And it's like, hey, let's play together. It's like, yeah, I want to play my Super Hornet, but, I got to stop and get gas. I got to stop and get gas. I got to stop and get gas. I don't know. That kind of feels like you're penalizing small ships. And, it's something that we're definitely going to have to see kind of come to life within the universe. And I understand the reasoning why they're going for this type of system, why they're going for this type of expectation. But at the same time, I don't know. This is something that I'm a little bit cautious about, because it feels like it might be overly restrictive. So that's what I'd like to ask you. I mean, if you came into the game originally as a fighter pilot, you not just Squadron 42, but Star Citizen, you wanted to go into Star Citizen as a fighter pilot, has your opinion of fighters changed over the years? Have you shifted towards a bigger ship? Have you kind of said, yeah, you know what, I kind of want all these added capabilities, I'm going to get the bigger ship? Or as a larger ship owner, someone who maybe wanted to go in the game and start off at a bigger ship, have things like these fuel requirements and just the added facilities and capabilities that larger ships have, coupled with the fact that we hear these things about NPCs where they're going to be really good at turrets supposedly, and they're going to be pretty fair at operating all these different subsystems in your ship. Has that more cemented your opinion towards the larger ships? Are you kind of feeling like, yeah, no, I made the right choice, definitely? I'd like to hear what you have to say, so leave your comments down below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.